So after a few weeks and millions of songs, I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about the KZ-EDX-PRO. So 5 minutes into my test and I was in love with these babies. But after a few hours, I was about to throw them in the garbage bin. Why do you ask? Well, let's find out. So I did my unboxing already, but I'll just mention a few things I didn't mention back then. They're using 10mm dual magnet circle dynamic drivers, and they're promising really deep bass and crystal highs. Sound sensitivity is 112 decibels and resistance is 24 ohms. There's also a remote on the cable, in which a company is saying you should be able to play, pause, skip forward and go backward. But unfortunately, I can't get it to go backward. I tried everything, but it's just not working. So if you know why it's not working, please let me know. So you might remember me saying that I couldn't find a good fit with the medium tips. I was going to try the large ones, and I did later that day, but it didn't turn out so well. I was moving them around and squeezing them and trying to get them into my ear canal, but unfortunately it didn't work because the tips, you know, the middle piece is just so hard. It just didn't want to flex or move or bend or whatever, so I really ended up hurting myself. I mean, it was really painful, and I actually didn't want to use these anymore, you know. But I remember having some Sonys lying around, so I got the Sonys, I tried them, you know, the specifications were not the same. They were really comfortable, but were way too bassy. So I also had some spin fits, right specifications. Those I did try. I tried them and they were really comfortable, but unfortunately the quality of music was just not the same. You know, it was just missing some bass and mids and trebles. I mean, it was still well balanced, but it was just no power behind it. So at the end of the day, I went back to the original tips, and I'm gonna tell you, if you want the best sound quality, then you will have to stay with the original tips, comfortable or not. So let's talk about the sound for a while, and I started my test with the song that you're going to see on the screen. I will leave a link in the description, and I started my test on my Poco F5. Might be important to mention, but after a few seconds into my test, it was all mids and highs. The sun was just so bright. It was brighter than a summer day in Jamaica. But after a little wiggling and repositioning, there was just so much bass. It was like someone just flipped a switch, and the bass was unbelievable. The mids and highs, maybe they were at 80, and the bass was at like 85. It was unbelievable. I was in love immediately because that is the sound that I like. It was just unbelievable. At the moment I thought this is gonna be a really easy review. So I just left it with some music playing in the background to speed up the burn-in process a little bit. However, later that night, I plugged it into my Samsung tablet, you know, just to continue my testing, and the sound was so bad. I mean, it was terrible. I actually thought for a moment it was broken, but you know, that in combination with the bad fit just made me didn't want to test them anymore. You know, I just said, forget about it. But it also got me thinking about the reviews I saw online. Some people were saying they were really bad, other people were saying they were really good. So I was wondering why the big difference. And I thought maybe, well, it could be the device that I'm using. So I decided to run an experiment. I gathered all the devices I could find, and I made a comparison, which is what you'll be seeing in a while. So I'll be talking about the chipsets that's in each device. I'm not going to be talking about it, I'm just going to mention which one it is. It will be on the screen, and I know that's just half of it. You have to factor in the DAC that's in your phone or in your USB-C adapter that I know. So for the next test, is my Xiaomi X3 NFC, my older phone. You might know it from my power bank test. And if the X5 was a 8 and the tablet is a 2, this one would be 5. In terms of sound, there was just no balance. There was a bit of power, but it just sounded off. I tried everything with the equalizer, but it just couldn't get it to sound good, which was surprising given the chipset that's in it. So if you're using the X3 NFC by chance, you're not going to have a good experience. And it was really surprising because this is way better than the F5. And for the comparison, I'll be using the same song every single time. Unfortunately, I could only get the devices for one song, so I couldn't compare different songs and genres. So I chose this one song. Next up is the OnePlus Nord 2T. And I was actually surprised it did so well. The sound was really, really good, but it wasn't really powerful. It was lacking some bass. Maybe if I played around with the equalizer a little bit more, it would have been different, but this sound was extremely bright and the bass was there. It should be good enough for most people, but it just wasn't as good, in my opinion, as the F5. And it doesn't support headphone jack, so I did use USB-C adapter in my test. So next up is the Galaxy A53, and this one also doesn't support headphone jack, so I used the same USB-C adapter as I did on the OnePlus, and from minute one it was just really, really bad. The sound was really low, it was lacking in everything, and there was a lot of noise in the background, a lot of white noise. I thought maybe it's the USB-C adapter, but of course it did work well on the OnePlus. But nevertheless, I said, you know what, let me just order a new one, which I did. And I gave it a second chance, and I'm glad I did, because the sound is really, the sound is good. You know, it's not as good as a OnePlus. If the OnePlus is a 7.5, this would be like a 6.5. So if you use an A53 with an adapter and it doesn't sound good, there's a lot of distortion, order yourself a new one. And by a new one, I mean a new USB-C adapter. Which brings me onto the laptop, and the laptop sounded really good. I would place it just below the F5. It was really bassy, even bassier than the F5, but sometimes the bass was spilling over a little bit, so it is something you would need to clean up with your equalizer, but it sounded really good. So for this comparison, and for the fun of it, I dug up a Samsung Galaxy S8 from 2018. It was a flagship back then, so I was expecting a bit, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. It was just weak, you know, so there's not much life in it. So if you're looking for bass or any kind of enjoyment, I would definitely not use this phone. So let's jump into the last one, and that is the Galaxy A52s 5G, and I'm just about to come out and say it, this phone is absolutely amazing. For this comparison with this song, this is a clear winner. So if it's better with other genres, other songs, that I won't know, but for this comparison, it's just unbelievable. This combination, EDX-PRO and the Samsung Galaxy A52s, if you like these kind of music, perfect harmony, beautiful, unbelievable. So yeah, there it is, A52s, number one. So number two would be the Poco F5, and third place would definitely go to the laptop. Of course, if you talk about the tablet, this is a tablet that's running the Exynos 9611. There is a new version which is running the Snapdragon 730G, so that one might be a little bit better. So what about other genres? Is that good? Well, in my opinion, no, it's not bad, and mean, if you like your music without bass, then you will be okay with this, depending on the device that you're using. Mids are okay, vocals are okay, but there's just absolutely no low end. It just has problems picking up the bass in all the music. I did a fast comparison with my Soundbeats T2, and where this was producing like 1 or 2, the Soundbeats was up to a 6 or 7 easily. So for all the music, I personally wouldn't recommend it. If we take a look at reggae did sound okay. But if you look at dancehall was just lacking. You know, from maybe 10 songs that I tested, 5 were okay, and 5 were just sounding really flat. And again, comparison with my T2, it's only when you put them side by side that you really realize what you're missing. So let's talk about rap music, and I tested a good bit of songs. Most of them were older. If you look at Tupac, End of Time, did not sound good. Party Next Door featuring Drake, that one was absolutely terrible. But, you know, 2 Chainz, Good Drink, that one was alright. Tory Lanez, Love, it was, you know, somewhere in the middle. It was doable, but not really that good. A$AP Rocky, that was an interesting one. Fashion Killer, you know, the start of it was okay, but at like 2:58 it just fell apart completely. It was absolutely terrible. But the best one was Rich Homie Quan Walkthrough. That one was really, really good. So, in my opinion, you know, if you buy it for rap music, it is usable, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. This one is really for EDM, atmospheric music, chill step, those kind of music. So when there's a lot going on in a song, it does have problems keeping up, and it's also a bit difficult to know exactly where which sound is coming from. So you will need to focus, you know, like where's that guitar? Is it to the left? Is it to the right? Is it a little more forward? Is it a little more backwards? So yeah, if you're looking for, you know, accurate, well, you will need to look somewhere else. And the video was way too long, but you know, it's because of the comparison, which I won't be doing every single time. And you know, the point I was trying to make is, you know, you could buy the best headphones in the world, but if your device is not good enough to power it, then it's still gonna sound crappy. Of course, if your device is not good enough, you could always consider a mini amplifier. It doesn't need to be expensive. In fact, I have one coming soon, so I'm gonna be testing that. And what I'm actually gonna do is test the KZs on the tablet, because the tablet was the worst sounding one. So is it a pro? No. But if you're using the right device and you are listening to the right music, and if you can find a good fit, then it's very, very good. If these were the only IEMs in the world, then I would definitely say go and pick it up. But you could find other buds just as good, maybe even better. Maybe for the same price, maybe cheaper. So for all the music and for rap, nah, I wouldn't recommend it. I would just leave it for what it is. For reggae, it's good. For dancehall, it's good enough, but it could be better. So aside from the comfort, if I am going to nitpick a little bit, I do wish the cable was a bit longer. It's 1.10 meters, and I wish it was like 1.5 meters. That would have been better. And the fact that I just can't get the remote to work the way it should work, you know, skipping to the previous track. Is it a deal breaker? Nah, definitely not. So yeah, that was my review. Thank you so much for watching. And maybe someone did notice it. If not, go back and take a look. Look at the start of the video, look at my beard, and look at it now. And if I look sleepy, it's because I am, and it's really late. It's like 11:45, so, you know, work in the day, you gotta do it in the night. But I really enjoy this test, so thank you so much for watching again. You know, a like would be great because I put so much time into this video. It's actually more work than I thought it would be, but I like it and I will keep doing it. So I have many more things coming, you know, but it's just because of work I can't make a lot of videos. So for now it's just one every week or in a weekend. So yeah, like would be great. And if you're subscribed, thank you so much. And if not, a sub would be great. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.